live? As soon as who starts?
Well, apologies for a couple technical difficulties, but we are underway here between the Furman Paladins and Hampton Pirates. Nate Work alongside Brian Atkins. And Brian, a rare treat here in Greenville as the snow is coming down.
Yeah, and it's not coming down lightly. It's pretty heavy. You can see the footprints out there on the turf as they run around, and Hampton drives it down the field for their first offensive possession. With a white ball against a very white backdrop, visibility, I know I'm having a hard time already seeing where that ball is, so the players being close to it hopefully will be better. Paladins get the ball back.
Well, I may need to switch out with the ladies' yellow ones just to help see it a little better.
Certainly better visibility.
Furman with it here. And both teams really looking to improve on what was kind of a disappointing opener for both squads.
Yeah, it certainly was. Bucknell and Paladins played last week in Durham at a neutral site, but the Paladins just did not get the offensive production that they would like to have seen. And their defense, unfortunately put Alex Van de Bovenkamp in positions that he had to make 18 saves, second in the NCAA for those results. And that score could have been a lot higher for Bucknell because they were putting shots on goal.
Yeah, your defense has had a rough time when your goalkeeper sees 34 shots on goal.
No shortage of offensive attempts by Bucknell last week, but the Paladins here have their own offensive powerhouses. We saw an early shot there just a minute ago by Jarrett Birch, one of the offensive production leaders last year, as well as Anders Eriksson.
One of the relatively few bright spots, and Furman able to cash in. I'm pretty sure, anyway, pardon our being a little bit tough
Tucker
to see,
Brown.
But Tucker Brown notching the first goal of the contest.
And he came straight from the midfield, got a feed off of Carson Sorrells and was able to put it in the top right corner of the net. So an interesting start. We have a 1-0 lead already. And it looks like Coach Meade has some constructive criticism for his scoring offensive player Tucker Brown there.
Ian Groom in the face-off for Hampton. And it's going to be Chris Casey for the Paladins. Casey, a sophomore. And really can't state enough how important these face-offs are for both teams.
Yeah, Casey won that face-off, but looks like he had a check and lost possession. Now Hampton set up with zero defense from the Paladins in place, and Hampton is going to get that out-of-bounds ball.
Almost a little bit of a wasted opportunity there, as they really could have caught the Paladins out of position. Now Furman with some time to set up.
And apologize for any sniffles you hear on the air. For those that don't know, a broadcast booth is not fully enclosed, so we are somewhat out in the elements here. And game time temperature, if I'm not mistaken, was about 33 or 34 degrees, so no shortage of frigid air along with the snow.
I was going to say, apparently the air must be colder because it's definitely coming down as snow.
Yes.
But
no view of beautiful Paris Mountain from the stadium here like we normally have.
I will take it as a city that usually only sees maybe one snowfall a year, and that is if you call a light dusting that barely sticks a snowfall. But anyway, it will be interesting to see how assuming this continues, how it affects the pace of play, how it affects even just stuff like the way the ball bounces on the ground, picking up some extra moisture. Footing could be a little bit trickier.
It could, and I'm curious to know how the effect. I've never played on not the AstroTurf, but this fake surface that has the black rubber pellets, and those I would think would get harder as the temperature drops. So, like you said, understanding how the ball is going to bounce is going to be critical for both goalies on those bounce shots. I think it's indicative of the possession time, as you see more footprints in the snow on the Hampton's defensive side than you do on the Paladins' defensive side.
And really, the Paladins have had a lot of shots here in the early going, but not a lot of quality chances. They have cashed in on the one goal.
They need to dial in the targeting for sure, because they have had several shots over the net.
Tough angle there, and I believe that found the back of the net.
It certainly did. They scored it, and it's Jarrett Birch, number 4, coming in from the left side.
Junior out of New Jersey comes up with a tough angle shot. We'll take another look at it here.
Out of that 5-and-5 slot. Got it right past Kevin Mondi, senior goalkeeper for Hampton. So Furman leading 2-0 with about 9 minutes out.
And you'll probably see more consistently the same players at the face-off than, say, in the ladies' game last night, where several different players rotated in for the draw control. A lot of times, most teams only have 1 or 2 face-off specialists, so you probably won't see as much variance, but we'll see if that changes at all as the game continues. Same matchup, all 3 so far.
A lot of teams, their entire face-off squad, so not only at the X, you have Chris Casey now, but on the outside you have a feeder and also a hitter that's going to come into the scrum if it's a loose ball. Was a loose ball there. Called a foul. Hampton ball. They'll be able to take it down and see if they can capitalize off of this possession.
Yeah, Hampton in need of some positive things here. They've been playing on the back foot for the first 4+ minutes. But a chance here, and again, I don't know how it is for you on the screen and everybody at home, but from up here, it is almost impossible to see the ball.
Yeah, Lonnie Jones is our player to watch. He has possession now, just passed it off to Jordan Brown.
Working around the edge, but it's really no wonder that you're seeing missed passes like that one there. I mean, it is...
Visibility is surely a challenge. I presume we're going to see a lower scoring game today simply because of errant passes, a lot of lost possessions.
We'll touch on this later, I'm sure, but these teams have only met once before, and that was a game that featured 32 goals. I'd be surprised if we get much more than half of that here this afternoon.
They had considerably better conditions last time they played last year.
And also, this is a Hampton program that is still really taking strides toward improving each season.
And a one-time pass. Keegan Pearl scoring that. These conditions make it difficult to receive those passes, but Pearl doing a good job of harnessing that in, and quick one-timer into the goal to get past Kevin Mondi.
And Furman finding a lot of success in and around the goal here in the early going. Just over 5 minutes in, already 3 up on the board. And from 3 different players as well.
Yeah, they're certainly spreading it around. A lot of movement. In fact, when we were talking to Coach DeVoe before the match, he was mentioning just how much ball movement the Paladins are very equipped to shift their defense and move the ball a lot, and we've seen that and spread the ball around to 3 different scores. A good stick check there.
It was a nice face-off win by Hampton, but then nearly lost it, then did. Furman trying to run up the field with it, as that's Luke Muter.
Yeah, but you'll see him get back and into the box, so Austin Leonard can come out and switch. You got to get those long sticks off the pole or off the field when you're going into the offensive zone.
So Brian, for some of us like myself who are not as well acquainted with lacrosse, what is the main purpose and advantage of the different stick lengths?
Well, certainly the long stick gives you the ability to check the offensive players, the attack men, any attacking middies from a further distance away, keeping them away from the crease and scoring opportunities. Gives you better reach. So primarily it's the defensive side. Midfielders have their preference whether they want to cut it down to the 42-inch limit or whether they want to keep it as a standard stick size. And then there's of course long stick middies that specifically are for the defensive side of the ball, and you'll see one long stick middie out there for most face-offs. I myself was never able to handle a defensive long stick.
Is it just harder having the ball that much farther away from your body?
Yeah, it certainly is. I mean, you have, almost a 6-foot long stick, 5-foot long stick in your hands, but there are some guys, some players out there, and when they've had that defensive stick in their hands for their entire career, it's pretty impressive to see them wield that around, and some of them are great at taking shots.
Yeah, because that's the other thing I would think, if you were good at it, I would think you could get a little extra leverage, maybe a little extra speed on the shot with the longer one, but probably a lot more difficult as well.
Yeah, if not speed, certainly power. I do not envy the keepers out there today taking a shot from that ball. Some of these shots in excess of 100 miles an hour, hitting uncovered, thighs and shins in this cold weather. I do not envy them. They're a special breed that sit in the goal.
Furman showing some great patience. Shot from outside, going to stay with Furman.
Yeah, Carson Sorrell's taking a shot from the top.
Did not reset the shot clocks. They're down to 11 ticks to get a quality look. And
an errant pass to the position is going to be a turnover for the Pirates to get the ball back. They're going to be looking to get down the field and score their first goal.
But again, just looking at the field, it's not hard to understand why you might have a little bit more difficulty completing passes, especially of any length.
And identifying the ground ball.
Yeah. Yeah, I guess you just look for the random spots of green turf that aren't shoe-shaped.
Just follow everybody else. See where everybody else is.
That one off target, but does stay with Hampton. And again, not to beat a dead horse, but it has been a weird week in Greenville. 2 days ago, there were torrential rains. Had a tornado touchdown not too far from here, about 20 minutes away. And then yesterday was perfectly gorgeous, absolutely sunny. Just, you'd never guess it rained at all. And then today we have snow.
Except for the remnants of flooding that was still around the area. There were pictures of Cleveland Park downtown where the Greenville Zoo is, and that was underwater. The picnic shelters that are 6, 8, 9 feet tall, they were at the water level. It was unbelievable as the Reedy crested over its levels and put it underwater out there.
Yeah, we were getting flood alerts pretty much all day long, and it's just another week in Greenville. Furman once again on the attack, trying to make this a 4-0 game, and they do. What a shot from outside.
Austin Leonard from the top of the box, put it in top right corner of the goal, getting it past Mondi.
Oh, might have caught just a bit of pipe as it came in. Beautiful shot. Take a look at this one more time. And take a look at the distance. Well, didn't get to see it there, but
a great feed by Brett Tenaglia too from behind the crease, the X spot, gave it up to Austin Leonard.
So, despite thoughts it might be a little bit lower scoring, Furman's still off to a good start. Already 4 goals in just shy of 9 minutes of play. They've really been able to execute their game plan almost unopposed here in the early going.
Yeah, Hampton last year had a lot of drive throughout the game. Although they ended up losing the game 26-6, and Furman held a lead throughout that matchup. You never saw any negative, loss of energy or despair in the Pirates. They played until the last minute. In fact, I think that 6th goal was within the last minute of the game last year, and they just had drive and they had motivation to show what they could do against a squad that on paper does outmatch them. I think that we're seeing that here with a 4-0 lead. With about 5 minutes left in the first quarter, Furman has been able to come out and establish an offensive dominance. And under these conditions, a 4-goal lead is going to be hard to overcome unless they're able to really pick it up. And they're going against arguably one of the best keepers in the NCAA with Alex van de Bovenkamp.
Yeah, came with 18 saves, as mentioned before last contest, and really just continuing to build on what's been a phenomenal career. I feel like every single year he just turns in jaw-dropping performance after jaw-dropping performance. Hasn't been called on a lot here yet, but don't be surprised if he comes up with some big saves here this afternoon. Hampton on one of their longest possessions, but unfortunately, shot clock now against them, just 7 seconds. Get a good cut, and they have to force a shot off, and there's Van de Bovenkamp coming up with the save.
Yeah, Elliot Johnson III, who was mentioned by Coach DeVoe before the matchup that he's expecting him to have a good offensive season, had a good shot, but went right back into Alex Van de Bovenkamp.
Got a flag right near midfield. So delayed call coming up here against Hampton. We'll see what that penalty is for, assuming Furman does not score. Furman still maintaining about halfway through the allotted time for the shot. Thought about one here, has a chance, shot, and that's going to be saved and kept out of the goal.
A lot of melee down there as two defenders also get into the crease with the keeper, all of them going to the ground, but they were able to get back up, get back into position. Paladins retain control of that ball.
Yeah, passed back across, thought about a shot as that one was initially gathered by Brett Tenaglia.
Intended for Luke Magic, but...
And just a reminder, because it's been a long possession, there is still a flag down on the field. So if at some point Hampton comes away with a possession, gets a save, turnover, etc., then that penalty will be assessed. Another shot blocked. Big hit on the outside. And I believe we are going to get that call now.
Yeah, Anders Eriksson fed it over to Keegan Pearl again, who got a shot off but wasn't able to get it into the net. And there you see the melee with a couple defenders and the keeper going to the ground.
There's that hit right at the end of the play. So Michael Lawrence slashing is the penalty call.
So Furman with their first man-up opportunity.
And that was a long possession after the flag. I think it was about 2 minutes that Furman had before the penalty was officially called.
And Addy going to it here with their possession and a man-up opportunity. Gets it into the net.
And again, a tough angle, but a quick shot.
Brett Tenaglia with that score. We see here good rotation over to Brett Tenaglia from the top, and he's able to get it past the net and past Mondi in the goal, making it a 5-0 deficit for the Hampton Pirates.
Well, Furman has struggled on occasion to get it on frame, but when they've gotten it there, they've had a lot of good shots, and Tenaglia's goal, just the latest one. Here's the lead stretch to 5, and Furman able to cash in on the man-up opportunity really relatively quickly.
They certainly were, maintain possession, and of course that penalty is now released, so we're back at even strength for the Pirates.
Vast majority of the penalties you'll see in a average lacrosse game are releasable, but every once in a while you'll have some that aren't.
Really egregious penalties, similar to hockey. An egregious penalty, unsportsmanlike conduct is non-releasable. But your run-of-the-mill slashings.
Yeah, as long as you aren't, hitting an official or decking somebody in the head or something, you're probably going to get a minor penalty. Under 3 minutes to go here in this first quarter. It has been all Paladins thus far. Hampton has had a few possessions, but I don't know that I'd say they've really had a great scoring chance yet here in this quarter.
Couple shots on goal, but haven't been able to convert any of those.
And Oh, I didn't quite catch what the call was. Did they not get it across midfield quickly enough?
They did not. They ran out of time, and they had to turn that ball back over to the Paladins. So another opportunity for the Paladins. Weren't successful in their clearing, so the Pirates go back on defense.
It's one of those things that can get overlooked from time to time, but how important just that transition from defense to offense is, and not getting failed clears. Especially when you've kind of been playing on the defensive side most of the quarter. That's tough.
Yeah, and Hampton's 5-0 deficit right now. Illegal screen called on the Paladins, so it's going to go over to the Pirates.
Under 2 minutes to go. Another chance here for the Pirates to get on the scoreboard.
Jarrett Birch doing a really good job. He was the one that contained the last ball possession of the Pirates to have them fail to get across midfield in time. Putting a lot of pressure on those Pirates players to get downfield.
And I think he helped force that turnover as well.
He certainly did. 2 unsuccessful clears by the Pirates now puts Paladins back in their offensive zone. Rotating around to X, Jarrett Birch there with the ball.
And they're doing very well at keeping the ball moving quickly. There's a shot from outside.
Yeah, tough shot by Austin Leonard, but ricocheted off. May have either hit the post or...
And Tenaglia, who scored recently, moves it around. It'll be Paladin's possession as Birch goes and retrieves it.
Yeah, Jack Dowd with that shot that went wide of the net.
Birch looking for a wraparound.
Great
came back
screen.
Out in front. And I believe that was Leonard who scooped and scored. Leonard capitalizing.
Yeah, what you're going to see is Birch right here gets a screen from Leonard, but then Leonard gets that pass from him and gets it right into the net.
Great job by Leonard. Both
that was a great give and go.
Yeah, both springing the open shot and then following up, cleaning up the trash. Nice 2-player play there for Furman. And the lead continues to grow. And it's getting harder and harder to read that lettering on the field.
Yeah, I certainly do not envy referees or even players for that matter to understand where the various lines are. On the alleys along the outside and the box they need to get it into. I guess the referees doing it for so long, they probably have a very calibrated eye to understand how many yards out they are.
And one thing Hampton has done well is they've actually won a significant number of face-offs. They just haven't really been able to translate that into any great offensive opportunities in the attacking third, but from the X, they've actually done well.
Yeah, Ian Groom has really showed a little bit of dominance there on the face-off, but again, haven't been able to capitalize off that for either errant passes, turnovers. But they have an opportunity here.
That's a good cut. Chance for a shot if they get just a little bit closer.
Yeah, Lonnie Jones with the ball, and he's going to try to dodge in, but passes it off. Back up to the top. They have some guys sliding there.
That looked like another save for Van de Bovenkamp. And that's going to do it for the quarter. As time expires, first quarter, all Paladins as they lead 6. Well, you would think this would be more of a Christmas type of weather rather than almost Valentine's Day, but it is a winter wonderland out there. Lots and lots of snow falling, by Greenville standards anyway, as Furman has been enjoying it thoroughly, leading 6-0 here after the first quarter. And Brian, really, Furman able to execute their game plan pretty much to perfection there in that first quarter.
Yeah, they certainly have. Although dropping most of the face-offs to Groom, they've been able to capitalize off of forcing turnovers by the Pirates, not being able to clear the ball out, not getting it across midfield in time. Had a man-up opportunity that they took advantage of after a slash.
It's a big takeaway there, as it looked like Furman might have a breakaway opportunity. Currently bringing it down the field is Benson. Lost it temporarily. Battling for it. keeping it in bounds. Players hitting the turf, still there. Still waiting to be picked up by somebody, and it finally goes out of bounds. And it will be Hampton possession.
And looking down on the field, it does look like they have switched to the more visible yellow balls down there.
Unsurprising. It is, the snow has not let up in the least.
No, it certainly is a whiteout.
Normally when people are bringing their umbrellas, it's for rain, but not today. Hampton still looking for a really good quality possession offensively, and I think that's going to be one of the big things they're going to try for here in this few opening minutes of the quarter. As you know, obviously the first quarter did not go the way they would have liked, but you almost kind of have to just forget about it, move on, and work on implementing your game plan here in this quarter. Only 8 on the shot clock.
Great feed. Great feed for the Pirates, getting on the board for the first time. Michael Lawrence coming from the X spot, handing that over to Miles Fawcett for the Pirates' first score.
Great shot. Good cut as well. Really didn't give Van de Bovenkamp much time to react at all. And Hampton on the board, so held scoreless the entire first quarter. Takes less than 90 seconds. Get on the board here in the second. And that's exactly the start the Pirates wanted.
Yeah, and with their success at the face-off, they're going to take that example, and they had very good movement around. Lonnie Jones, shortly before that goal was scored, took a nice shot from outside. Low probability shot, but at least shifted the defense around, and Lawrence was able to spot Fawcett there for the Pirates' first goal.
That face-off still being tracked down and is eventually going to be won by Hampton. So yet another face-off win as Groom came away with it. He's still possessing down the field. Took a little bit of a check there. And we're going to have a timeout for Hampton here. Less than 2 minutes into the second quarter, off to a good start, getting a goal and the face-off. We'll be back after the timeout. And coaches give their final words to the players here after the Hampton timeout. First one by either team thus far, and Hampton really getting a great start to the second quarter.
Certainly are. They've possessed the ball most of this second quarter now, and of course they got their first goal, had a couple of shots, one from Lonnie Jones, and then scoring for Miles Fawcett, number 30, freshman from Piedmont, California. So young player, but finding the back of the net.
It will be Hampton possession out of the timeout.
It appears there may be an issue with a stick that the referee was taken off the field there. Slow play, and we're going to see that as this snow continues. Much of the speed that are some of these players in better conditions, you would see them much faster, either transitioning or being able to cut around the goal, but having to take a lot of precautions simply because of the slippery natures of this snow.
Hampton looking for back-to-back goals here. For the wraparound, going to drop this one back to Brown, who swings it up top.
A long, successful pass, and under these conditions, those are low probability passes, just like that one was missed.
Yeah, he was trying to go back to Brown on it, and again, the longer the pass is in these conditions, I mean, slightly more visible ball or not, that is still a tough play. Now Furman will look to get the goal back. They've been really very efficient on offense. Generally been able to capitalize on their opportunities. 6 goals in the first quarter. And although we talked about probably a lesser scoring pace, they're on pace for roughly the same goal total as last time these two teams met.
Yeah, they certainly are. And a shot there by Austin Leonard goes wide of the goal. Paladins in position to maintain that possession.
Leonard had a couple nice goals in the first quarter. But props to all the players out there for given they're all in these conditions. And these are not easy conditions at all. You see another missed pass there, but thankfully not very hard, so it was easy for Winnick to track down. Shot from a tough angle. That one's going to bounce back out. Rebound opportunity, and Hampton able to successfully defend. So continue to go well for Hampton. That's a check from behind.
Yeah, stick check, and then I believe that's going to be Hampton's ball for a trip.
Just a foul, not a penalty.
Visibility is just getting worse and worse.
But the scene is getting better and better.
It truly is. It is a winter wonderland.
I mean, the Furman and Paladins in the what would be football end zones are almost unreadable at this point. Another chance for Hampton, who have really come out strong in the second quarter.
Yeah, pardon me, Lonnie Jones there with a shot. Has seemed to be saved by Van de Bovenkamp.
Numbers here for Furman. Shot. It's going to be high.
Quick break shot by Will Farrell. But high ball went out of bounds. Paladins in position to retain that possession.
There's one criticism for the Paladins from the game so far, aside from the face-off struggles, has been that they have had some issues getting shots on target. Had quite a few that have sailed wide or high.
And while warm-ups are no indicator of how gameplay will be, you can certainly take a look at those warm-ups. And as we were down on the field waiting to talk to the coaches, many of their warm-up shots were wide and high. So the Paladins are going to – they've dialed it in at least 6 times.
It's another pass that goes off the mark, and so Furman will take back over. It's going to be Cole Horan. Brings it back into play, and Furman
easily able to get it across midfield and into the box.
And they really haven't been challenged much in their own half. When Hampton has forced turnovers, it's been deep in their own zone. And they have done a decent job of forcing some, even here in the second quarter. And this one will go to Hampton as Furman didn't have anybody back behind the net.
They did, and it was a pass from Birch trying to connect with who I believe is Anders Eriksson, who was on the left side of the goal there, but was a high pass, and like you said, no one in position at the X, goes over to the Pirates.
Well, if nothing else, I think the Pirates are pleased with the fact that they've now gone the first 5+ minutes here of the second quarter without allowing a goal, in addition to scoring one. Shot in close.
Jarrett Birch taking 2 shots on the goal in rapid succession. Great job by Mondi in the goal for the Pirates, able to defend both of those shots on a fast break by the Paladins.
He's really stepped up here in the second quarter. And now another Hampton possession and another errant pass. It has been a struggle. Even more so in the second quarter. We saw a number of them in the first, but it has been a struggle for both teams here in the second.
I do not envy our camera operators who are trying to follow the action on this last back and forth.
I mean, it's thankfully with a lot of lacrosse there is something of a pattern to it. You can almost to an extent predict roughly where it's going to go, but it is still very tricky. Furman with it well outside the arc, but looking for a run here. That's going to be still Furman possession after that shot.
A wide
off
shot
target
by Jack Dowd.
So Brian, if you're one of the coaches on the sideline, what are you telling your players specifically relating to these conditions? And this is not something these players play in every day. Big goal for Furman to go back up by 6.
Yeah, number 55, Jack Dowd, was able to put it in the back of the net after his wide shot last time. But going back to your question, I think right now, as we've seen, we've talked about it several times. Yeah, he's coming around, hard shot from top right side of the crease. Mondi just couldn't handle that. But going back to your question, and we've talked about it several times, the passes are errant. So my focus would be make crisp passes, because we're never going to get scoring opportunities. We're never going to have possession time if we just can't simply get our passes down. And the clearing for the Hampton Pirates, they need to work on ensuring that they can get that ball down into their offensive zone and not relying on an errant pass to get a quick break towards the Paladin goal.
So do you think if the conditions persist, we'll see more carrying and less passing?
I think so, and they're going to shorten up their passes. They need to tighten up their spaces, because those long passes in these conditions are less than favorable. On the flip side, the ball doesn't roll as far because the snow is going to stop the ball and provide some friction.
Violation on Furman will give Hampton yet another possession here as they'll try to get that goal back. It's been a very, very different second quarter. The first quarter was pretty much all Furman. Scored Hampton 6-0, but here in the second, Hampton struck first, less than a minute and a half in, and have looked considerably sharper and have just allowed the one goal. So the gap remains the same, but the quality of play from Hampton, I feel like, has gone up significantly here in this second quarter.
It certainly has, and you can see them being very patient on this possession, keeping it outside until they're able to get the ball in striking distance. Michael Lawrence taking a shot there, but weren't able to capitalize off of it. Paladins retaining possession. Lonnie Jones, that player to watch with possession now, and trying to set up his offense to get them in a good attacking position.
Again, taking his time, almost 20 seconds without really any significant movement. Looking to work off a pick there. Gets it back up top. As with it is Myers. Myers has Jones back at the base of the field, but again, that's a long pass, and that's one they've failed to connect on a few different times. But Jones does have it here. Works around one, drops it back. Chance here for Myers if he wants a shot, and he does. That's going to be saved by Van de Bovenkamp.
And they did capitalize off that pick and roll. I was about to say that those picks were being inefficient simply because they seem to be televised, but Andre Myers was able to get open after setting a pick for Lonnie Jones and try to get a shot off. Wasn't successful, but good to see that strategic setup. And a high pass goes out of bounds, so it's going to be a turnover, and Paladins will will get the ball back.
They set all those balls out around the outside for precisely those kind of occasions, but at this point, they might be as hard to see as whatever ball just went out of bounds.
And if they're sitting there stationary, they're getting snowed on, so who knows how long they will be visible. Equipment folks are going to be getting down there and trying to clean them off.
I think this quarter has been much more aligned to kind of what we figured the game was going to look like when we saw the way the conditions were. What a shot! Falling to the ground, putting it in, Tucker Brown.
And was able to get a penalty out of that. It was a cross-check in the back.
Take a look at the concentration going to the ground and just snaps it into the side of the net.
Yeah, defender Ian Fisher giving him a hard shot into the back, but Tucker Brown able to keep it in a stick and get a shot off, get it past Mondi for the 8th goal for the Paladins.
And you'll be proud to know Brown is from Delaware.
Our side sister state up there from Maryland.
It's in the quasi general vicinity.
It's in the DMV, right? The Delaware, Maryland, Virginia area.
That's right. Very small state.
They'll be proud to tell you they are the first state, having been the first state to sign was it the Declaration of Independence or the Constitution that they ratified first? May have been the Constitution. I should know my American history better than that. So we have a timeout here on the field.
This is a media timeout.
Hampton off to a good start, but Furman Well, Hampton largely controlled the first 5 or 6 minutes of the second quarter, but since then Furman has been able to reignite that spark. Back-to-back goals, including a beauty from Tucker Brown. And now Furman with an 8-1 advantage. Just over 5 minutes to go until halftime, and as you can see, the non-footprinted places are starting to get pretty solidly white.
Yeah, the conditions continue to deteriorate, at least from a lacrosse playing perspective. For a sledding perspective, they are steadily increasing.
Go find a nice steep hill and somebody who still sells sleds.
It's always easy to get a nice cardboard box and be able to get down a surface pretty quickly.
Hampton looking for a response here after giving up that second goal of the quarter. Largest lead of the afternoon thus far for Furman.
Hampton's had some pretty good possession time here in the second quarter.
Yeah, vastly better than the first quarter, where it seemed like they couldn't hold on to the ball for longer than 20 or 30 seconds at a time.
Yeah, several shots. We don't have the stats up in front of us, but they've had several shots that have just gone high or wide and haven't been able to capitalize, still remaining only with their single goal of the game.
Also, some of these guys who are out here in short sleeves, I have to say, I don't quite understand it. I mean, I know you're a little bit warmer when you're running around, but still, I'm mildly impressed.
You know, there was, I don't know if it was a 30 for 30 or an NFL Films, but they were talking about Green Bay, Wisconsin, and how when you're a Packer, you know, it's part of the ethos that you're not going to wear sleeves even in the coldest games, because you just seem like you're tougher. And perhaps the Paladins have that mindset.
See, most of the players wearing long sleeves, but a few here and there. Brave souls. Furman trying to add to the advantage here, working it back behind the net. Dumped back in front, shot from a tough angle, and that is going to stay with Furman.
Yeah, in position for that out-of-bounds ball.
But after we saw 6 goals in the first quarter, just 3 combined here in the second with just over 3 minutes to go. And this is definitely more what we thought we would see.
Yeah, it certainly is.
It's going to be Hampton possession here. And they really have played vastly better here in the second than in the first, but are still trying to find a way to make things work on the offensive end. The defense has been much better. The possession has been a lot better, but just the 1 goal to show for it.
Yeah, that's one of their few successful clears that they've had this half. A long stick midi with a shot there.
Furman running back the other way. Chance for a shot here, and there it is, but saved. Rebound back out, another shot. And going to have, I think, maybe a crease violation. Couldn't quite tell what the call was, but it
Monty
went.
had the first save. Sorry to interrupt. Monty had the first save, but the rebound went out, another shot, and I did not see that myself.
It looked like Furman may have gotten it from inside the crease when the keeper may have been considered to have possession. It was a little hard to tell, but the referee was pointing to the goalkeeper spot and gave it to Hampton. So either way, it'll be a Pirates possession here.
Yeah, Lonnie Jones and Andre Myers trying that same pick and roll that they scored off of last time.
Jones has touched the ball a lot as anticipated. Pass in front that kind of turned into a quasi shot that went wide, and then will stay with Hampton.
Yeah, Darian Williams Sturdivant behind the goal, a Baltimore native, junior out of Baltimore City College up there. Baltimore being the last home I lived in prior to moving to the South. lived there for 17 years.
So you are no stranger to the winter wonderlands.
No, one of the last seasons that we were there, I guess it was 2010. We got about 38 inches in 3 days, and I was quite tired of shoveling snow at that point. And the Paladins on a fast break, and they're able to convert. Cole Horan taking it goal to goal, getting a tough shot in there past Mondi to increase the lead 9-1 for the Paladins.
I think Horan picked that up. You'll see from right there, maybe 20-odd yards from the goal. Runs it all the way downfield and just really didn't get challenged until way late. Even got a little bit of contact there at the end, but no trouble on the finish. So Furman, with their third goal, comes with exactly 1 minute to go here in this first half.
I know those defenders always like to brag about their coast-to-coast shots and goals because they don't get too many opportunities throughout the season. So to see a long stick defenseman get down there and get a goal, I know he's going to be bragging to the rest of his defensive squad.
That's how you do it right there.
And controlling the faceoffs, we said, Hampton has been more successful at the faceoff spot. You saw there 7-1 for Hampton for the Pirates and only 4 for the Paladins, but the Paladins clearly being able to take advantage of other opportunities, fast breaks, and here we have one for the Pirates, a wide shot.
Looks like Hampton might have this one. I think so.
Groom won the faceoff, carried it all the way down, took a shot.
No, it's actually going to be
but
Paladins' possession. Successful long pass. Those are becoming more and more impressive by the minute.
Easy clear for the Paladins, and they're working it behind the goal.
Shot clock is off because there's only 27 seconds in the half. See if they can hit the double-digit mark going into the locker room. And really it looked like we might only have 3 or 4 goals here in this quarter, but Furman getting a couple late. Chance for another one. That one goes wide and trying to work around the referee. And able to stay with the Paladins with just 7 ticks left on the clock.
Not too much setting up here with pick and rolls or cutters going through the middle. They're taking a lot of dodge and dives from the outside into the crease area.
Looking for that last second one. Not going to happen here as time expires. But Furman, a commanding first half. They lead 9-1 going into the break. Stay with us as we'll have more for you coming up.
Welcome to Furman University in...
So,
does not get easier.
Hampton will be hungry to try to make up that 8-goal deficit to get closer to a win leaving Greenville so that they can go into that long road streak. A little bit more promising record than 0-2.
Continues to be Casey and Grooms at the X. Hampton holding an 8-4 advantage in that. And you see we had some very diligent staffers trying to clear away some of the lines, but already starting to get covered again.
And that upcoming schedule for Hampton, we talked to Coach DeVoe before the match and mentioned the 6-5 record that they had last year. They continuously improved, and he had mentioned that there were a couple D3 teams that they had played last year, so that 6-5 was not necessarily against the opponents that he would like to have seen. So they've changed their schedule around, and you can see putting themselves in a position to face higher quality squads and therefore improve their own talent and their own abilities on the lacrosse field.
Furman possessing here early. There's a shot, and Furman wasting no time.
Carson Sorrells, top right side, putting it in the back of the net.
Just 47 seconds into the second half. Sorrells strikes for the Paladins, and they have hit the double-digit mark. 10-1 advantage.
Yeah, very strong shot by Sorrells, too. Not much Mondi could do about that, especially as we've already discussed visibility.
Face-off once again.
And really what the challenge is for the keepers, you're looking at it on TV from a different perspective. We're looking at it at a different perspective. But the goalkeepers, being field level, they're seeing white in their backgrounds too.
Everywhere.
Yeah, everywhere. So when that shot's coming in, Mondi's looking up. His background is that field and those trees, and there's very little distinction he can get to see that ball and the trajectory that is coming in. So.
And as a general rule, wearing a white jersey probably isn't considered much of an advantage, but I think in a way it kind of is. These conditions, the players almost just melt right into the background to a large extent.
Yeah, and the Paladins getting possession off of a face-off violation by the Pirates.
And the face-off is one area where the Pirates really have excelled here throughout the afternoon. Could have a wraparound opportunity here. Comes up top, chance for a shot, and that one not going to find the back net. Another shot, and that one does.
Yeah, Jack
right
Dowd.
off the rebound.
Jack Dowd, another shot, same spot that Sorrells got it from the last time.
The initial shot was stymied, but then that second one finds a home for Dowd.
Yeah, Mondi able to defend the Sorrells shot from his right side, but his left side was wide open, and Dowd was able to put it in the back of the net.
That's one of those things for a keeper. I mean, it's big to stop the shot, but it's a lot of times controlling the rebound becomes so important. Otherwise, you can just end up having another player with a wide open opportunity on the side that you have shied away from or have been protecting the other side on.
And with a decrease in the visibility, the keeper's having a hard time seeing where those rebounds are going.
The ball is loose near the sideline and finally got scooped up, I believe, by Almadil.
Big shot by Sorrells.
Triple team.
Two big shots by Sorrells.
And finally coming away with it, there was McFarland. And you would never guess that Furman has a double-digit lead right now, as they have just been applying the pressure heavily here in the first couple minutes of the third quarter.
Yeah, Anders Eriksson had a pass over to Sorrells, and Sorrells was wide open on the left side of the goal, but a little bit wide of the pass lane and wasn't able to reel it in for a shot. Pirates have another opportunity to get it down and try to make up now for what is a 10-point deficit.
Yeah, Furman has really come out with a renewed energy here. You saw them start to build up a little bit of momentum at the end of that second quarter after a slow start, and they have really carried it over in a big way. And then a caused turnover. They're on the run.
Yeah, mishandle by William Sturdivant gives the Paladins another opportunity. Jarrett Birch.
What a pass.
Missed.
Had the right idea, as there was a wide open attacker right by the net.
Yeah, Carson Sorrells was open at a great angle for him to make a shot, but a high pass goes over his head, and now it's Pirate ball. But they're going to need to quicken their pace for this clear to try to get past midfield.
36 combined turnovers, and although part of that is early season stuff, I think probably at least half of those are directly attributable to the conditions.
Well, certainly. I mean, you can see that Furman only had 9 calls turnovers, Hampton only 5, and out of those 36, that only accounts for 14 of them. So 22 of those turnovers condition related. How you like that quick math?
I'm very impressed. I was just thinking that to myself. I was like, man, he just did like 4 different math problems all at once.
Paladins back with possession.
And it's looked a lot more like the first quarter than the second here in the early part of this third quarter.
Yeah, there's a distinct difference between the snow that is visible on the Paladins offensive end versus Hampton's offensive end, showing the possession time that the Paladins maintain. And a wide shot by Sorrells again.
It was a nice drop off, though. He had a good look at it, and Birch with it now behind the net, looking to wrap around and see what can be created inside. Takes a shot. That one's off target. We'll stay with Furman.
Cruiser will bring that back in. He was attempting a screen for Birch to be able to get open, but wasn't successful with it.
Is Birch back behind the net if he wants him, going to go for a shot, and I believe this will be Hampton possession, and it will.
So a wide shot by Anders Eriksson allows the Pirates to have the ball back and attempt their clear. Long pass. That's a brave pass in these conditions, but get it across midfield in time and now able to try to set something up.
Hands down, one of the best and quickest clears we've seen from Hampton on the day. That has been a struggle spot at points.
Certainly is, and going back to the conversation we had earlier about what the coaches would be saying, one of those things for Hampton was working on their clears. So appears they've taken coaching advice or maybe acknowledged it themselves.
Hampton trying to slow things down a little bit here. Cutting toward the inside, spinning back with it.
An errant pass goes to a ground ball.
And that was a full-on home plate slide there. Chance for a shot, and that one's going to be up and over, I believe. We'll stay with Furman.
Yeah, Zach Kinsella with the ball, getting the turnover, going to the ground, being able to maintain possession, get down, take a shot, but goes wide of the goal. Paladins retain possession. Able to set up their offense now.
A couple quick goals for the Paladins to start this quarter, but it's hit a bit of a lull here, and a lot of that because of that right there. Just passes that, or I'm sorry, excuse me, shots that are not on target.
And number 25, Brett Tenaglia, with a shot that went high of the goal. He had at least one goal earlier in the game, perhaps two. I know he's had an assist.
That shot looked like it went a little bit high there on Tenaglia.
But he's a freshman.
And you really kind of feel for Mondi. He has been under fire pretty much all game, with the exception of a couple minute stretches here and there. Has been a barrage. That's a great pass, or at least a great idea. Didn't quite connect on it, but had a cutter there. It was Jack Dowd, who really had great position, but wasn't able to connect with them on the pass.
And while the ball was turned over, Pirates had it, they mishandled, and now it goes back to the Paladins for a top right corner shot.
Tenaglia, I believe.
Tenaglia. So he made up for his high shot the last time with a shot there in the top right corner.
And again, something we talked about earlier, the failed clear leading to an immediate offensive opportunity. Look at Tenaglia just shake off the defender, and oh, so close to saving that was Mondi, but just too good of a shot.
And his quick speed from the turnover around the midfield line straight to the goal didn't allow the Pirates to get back into a defensive posture. They were outnumbered and out of position, leading to that goal.
Tenaglia's second goal.
Sitting with now a 12-1 lead for the Paladins here in snowy Greenville.
They have now scored 6 in a row since giving up that goal relatively early in the second quarter.
One of the few stats that Hampton can hang their hat on is a 9-6 lead for the face-off control.
And even that's been a little bit of a struggle here in this quarter. There's a flag. Going to be on Furman, I believe.
That's correct. So the Pirates getting their first man-up opportunity. We'll see if they can capitalize off of that.
Trying to take a look at who that is who has whistled for it. That's Chris Casey. 30-second penalty for him. We'll take a look at it right here. It's a little bit of a trip up of Groom from behind. It's just a 30-second penalty. See if Hampton can capitalize on this.
Yeah, last year only 9 for 31 on man-up opportunities, just shy of 30% scoring on those man-up opportunities. So they're going to look to capitalize off of this for sure.
Some space up top if they want to use it. It's going to take the shot, and that's going to be well high. And it will stay with Hampton.
Yeah, Williams started in a position back there and made the hustle to the boundary line to ensure that they retain possession of that ball. And he's shaking it off, trying to get the snow that apparently has been sticking to it.
Unsurprising.
Certainly.
And I know they were calling for some snow today, but if you lived in Greenville for any length of time, you know that when snow is called for, the amount of times that you actually get snow is generally significantly lower. And certainly not, a significant amount that actually completely covers the ground.
Yeah,
You
Elliot,
just get a few flakes
Yeah.
swirling around.
in my 5 years here, we haven't had too much accumulation. And a shot saved by Van de Bovenkamp allows
Pass.
the Paladins to retake possession and get a shot down and score by Carson Sorrells.
And they're just making it look easy right now. The offense is free-flowing. They're connecting on the vast majority of their passes, finding all kinds of space, good movement inside and out. And they're starting to be a little bit more on target with the shots. Take a look here at Sorrells. Snaps it up into the corner.
You see a late shift over by Tyler Day, long stick midfielder. That late shift allowed Sorrells to get an eye on that goal and was able to convert that into a scoring opportunity.
So Furman now with 4 goals in the third quarter, just over the halfway mark. And temperature seems to be actively dropping as the day goes on. At the very least, it doesn't feel any warmer.
Yeah, as I had mentioned in the start of the broadcast, we are in an open air environment here. And while I dressed pretty well, I should have worn thicker socks, I can tell you that.
That is a long throw of a flag downfield. I think that went about 20 yards downfield, but it's going to be a moot point as Furman continues to add to the goal tally.
I think that the Pirates defense was just as off balance to see that as we were here in the booth. A pass over.
That's a tough shot.
Tough shot, left-handed shot at that.
That's John Holcomb, the sophomore out of Cincinnati, Ohio. I believe that's his first goal of the day.
Believe it is, and Keegan Pearl with the assist, immediate pass prior to that goal. Pearl having at least one goal, I think of one or two other assists.
A lot of Paladins have gotten themselves on the score sheet here in this one, and still a lot of time to go.
For a slash, 1 minute penalty.
The penalty will actually stay. So Grooms, who is the normal face-off specialist, is actually sitting down on the sideline for a minute.
Which may have led to that Paladin success on the face-off, as you just saw the statistics. Hampton has dominated the face-off spot, but with Groom on the sidelines serving a penalty for slashing, Paladins were able to capitalize off of that and get possession right away.
Furman has only had one man-up opportunity thus far on the afternoon, but they did convert on it. Hampton 0 for 1 on their lone opportunity.
A lot of ball movement around, getting the Pirates shifting out of place, and
Another one for Sorrells, I believe.
that has to be a hat trick.
And again, Furman has really taken your advice to heart. The passing has been so crisp.
Yeah, and you just see the defenders. There's no one in front of the crease because they wrapped that passing all the way around the goal. Mondi was out of position and unable to keep track of that ball, as the Furman Paladins had very crisp passes.
And another assist for Pearl.
So Groom is released from the penalty, and he's back out in the face-off circle.
He's going against Schleicher, though, instead of Casey on the Furman side. Furman matching their 6-goal total from the first quarter here in the third, still with more than 6 minutes to go. And they had a brief lull in play around first 5 or 6 minutes of the second quarter, but aside from that, they have just looked completely dominant And given the result of last year, we thought there might be, a little bit of a lopsided score, but Furman has definitely shown that they are ready to put that opening season loss behind them here on their home field.
Yeah, they certainly have. They have been offensively on fire, capitalizing nearly on every opportunity they've had.
It's going to stay with Furman.
Can you put that shot back up? And so shots on goal, you can see heavily favored to Furman. 21 for the Paladins and only 7 for Hampton. And converting 15 of those shots into goals is a very successful offensive production here for the Paladins.
Yeah, they've really made life very difficult for Mondi between the pipes. Chance here for Furman. Cut across the middle. Chance for a shot and a goal. The offensive onslaught continues as the Paladins pour it on. There
was no chance for Monty to defend that. Quick passing over to Cole O'Neill, goal of the game. Freshman midfielder out of Silver Spring, Maryland.
And the way the passing is going right now for Furman, you would never guess it's snowing at all. The passing has tightened up so much. We've seen hardly any turnovers from the Paladins here in the third quarter at all, if any. The passing has been crisp and has opened up so much on the offensive end. And even though, truthfully, they probably did not need to score at all here in this third, it has been their best scoring quarter yet. 7 goals coming here in the third. And they've almost doubled their halftime advantage.
Yeah, number 13, Brady Stoll, defender out of Cincinnati, Ohio, took that ball, possession at about midfield, took a big shot, but actually laid out the Pirates player onto the turf, which allowed him to feed the ball in to ultimately score that goal.
Furman, yet another possession here in the third. We don't even have this stat available to us, but my guess would be possession percentage for Furman in this third quarter is probably something like 80 or 85%. They have completely dominated the time of possession here in this third quarter, and there's still almost 5 minutes of it to go. And it has been all Paladins. 16-1 advantage.
Yeah, and we've seen some new names getting goals. Cole O'Neill, first time we've called his name for a goal today.
And really no one player has been just consistently scoring all the time. A lot of players getting involved all throughout the course of the game.
Certainly is, and I can see the players on the field for the Paladins now. It looks like Coach Meade has shifted to his second string and younger players. The staples like Jarrett Birch, Anders Erickson, Chad Cruiser are not on the field.
Another goal for the Paladins, 8th of the quarter. And that one looks like it is going to be Winnick.
So another new name that we're calling, and that just goes to the comment I just made with some of the younger players that Coach Meade is putting on the field now to get them some experience, and they're able to capitalize and show what they're made of.
And O'Neill ended up with the assist.
Jack Schleicher out for the faceoff for the Paladins against number 11, Ian Groom. The Paladins have now equaled the faceoff win, so they're finding success in multiple areas now where at once they were behind, even though it didn't show on the scoreboard. So Paladins winning another faceoff there, getting it back into their deep. Looks like a turnover.
No, it's going to be a whistle against Hampton. It did initially look like it was going to go to the Pirates, but referee signals it will be Paladins' ball, and they just continue to roll here in the third quarter. I mean, they were playing well in the first half, but they've taken it to another level.
They certainly have, and they took some time there to allow their offensive line to get on the field. Matt Costco most recently coming into the ball game, passing it off. They're getting it back around to the top. As you're seeing, they have these crisp passes all around the field. And
well, I mean, early on, both teams, we saw so many errant passes, so many passes going out of bounds that were too high, they were mishandled. And here it just seems like every pass has been spot on here in this third quarter for the Paladins. It has been fun to watch. The ball's been whipping around accurately, quickly, and really making life difficult on the Pirates' defense.
Yeah, that last pass to Brody White, number 22, was a wide shot. They brought it back in, and then a shot there by Cole O'Neill was wide. Tough angle on that. Not a lot of daylight for him to try to get it into the net. Pirates defense simply cannot keep up with the shifting.
Yeah, I mean, they have been thoroughly taxed, and if you happen to catch a shot of the sidelines at some point, you'll see a vast disparity between the number of available substitutes on the two teams. Furman, with a significantly larger roster, has a lot more fresh bodies to rotate in, and the defense is just getting exhausted.
Yeah, only 7 players on the bench there for Hampton. You know, it's easy to count. You don't have a lot on the roster. So some fresh legs for the Paladins, and that's going to be a struggle for the Pirates to keep up. Now a 17-goal deficit, 18-1 lead for the Paladins.
And Furman has already equaled their goal total from the entire first half in this third quarter. And a face-off win to boot. Or at least thought they might have it, but it is Hampton who comes away with it. And Hampton possessing the ball has been a rare occurrence here in this quarter.
It certainly has, and a shot on goal there went wide by William Sturdivant.
And it will go to Furman. Good hustle.
Yeah, but Alex Van de Bovenkamp in position to get possession for the Paladins.
And I think for Hampton, they just want this quarter to be over. Everything has gone the Paladins' way here in this third quarter. 9 goals finding the back of the net.
We'll only have a minute and 40 seconds. Now we have a flag down on the field, so there will be a delayed penalty that will be against the Pirates, giving the Paladins another man-up opportunity when that occurs.
Unnecessary roughness is the
0.
call. It's a William Sturdivant, junior out of Maryland.
Penalty is called against Hampton. 0. Darian Williams Sturdivant. 1 minute. Unnecessary roughness.
So Furman, who is 2 for 2 on the man-up opportunities, will have another one here.
Yeah, and that could be some of the frustration showing through with an unnecessary roughness call. Clearly a 17-point deficit, nothing going your way in the second half. I can understand how some of that frustration is coming through, but you know, coach needs to reel them in, and we have a timeout here, so maybe that's the conversation.
Well, Furman has had a massive third quarter. Have outscored Hampton 9-0 here in the third frame. We'll be back after the timeout for the conclusion of the third quarter. So at least I should be able to scrape off my car pretty easily.
And scraping off our cars is what we will be doing now. Welcome back to Greenville. With looking at the score, we have Furman up 18-1 over the Hampton Pirates. A whiteout today as the Paladins take possession on a man-up opportunity. Right before the break, number 0, William Sturdivant, was called for unnecessary roughness. A little bit of the frustration showing through for the Pirate squad. But they have an opportunity now. Still have 2 timeouts left here in the second half for the Pirates, 1 remaining for the Paladins.
And this has been a rough third quarter for Hampton. And at this point, it's all about just winning the rest of the game. You know, you're not going to come back from 17 down. It's just not going to happen. But you know, can you get some goals? Can you get some positive plays? Can you create some turnovers? Can you keep Furman from scoring again? You know, just about winning each segment of the game that you can.
Yeah, and it's important for the Pirates coach to really instill that, look, what we're doing now is we're showing the ability in, you know, now the closing 30 seconds of the third quarter, but really in the fourth quarter to say, we're going to put some goals in the back of the net, because in closer games, we're going to know how to, you know, run those different offenses to allow us to get scoring opportunities when we need 1 or 2 goals to take the lead in closer matches than we see here.
It was a nice dodge for a shot opportunity, but goes off target, and so Furman will come away with it with less than 14 seconds to go. Ground ball picked up, or at least trying to be picked up by Furman. It's still loose, but it looks like time will expire before anything happens, and there it is. Shot not off in time. So we go to the fourth quarter. Furman firmly in control, leading 18-1. Snow continues to fall heavily, and the scoring has come in bunches. Furman notching 9 goals in the third quarter, now with a commanding 18-1 lead as we head into the fourth.
Our own version of the frozen tundra here in Greenville.
Yeah, the center lines that were cleared off so diligently at halftime have quickly been recovered.
And I know going into this fourth quarter, Hampton's going to try to erase some of this deficit and work on their scoring opportunities, trying to get the ball into the offensive zone and to at least erase some of this deficit and show their ability to come back in the late periods of other games that they have coming up this season. Again, we looked earlier at the road trip that they have coming up, the road stretch, 4 away games against squads that they're gonna be challenged as well. So this is quite a learning experience, and they're gonna want to make sure that they're in position.
And Van de Bovenkamp, yet another save. He has been as solid as usual between the pipes, and only has allowed the 1 goal.
Pallet is working from behind the net now, getting it out to the top of the box, shifting some of their players out, have some substitutions. And no shift over there to cover number 48, McCain Winnick was able to get a shot off.
And Furman is pretty much picked up right where they left off at the end of the third quarter, and if they continue to keep up the movement and the passing, I would expect to see a goal here within the next minute or two. Just with the way their offense has been clicking here in the second half especially. Not that they were slacking at all in the first, but then a relatively rare turnover. They have not had many of those here in this half.
No, they haven't. Andre Meyer's going to bring the ball in for the Pirates and then pass it back to Mondi, the goalie. They're going to get it off to the other side of the field, which is wide open. Would have been an easy clear, but an errant pass over to Pearson Benson from near my hometown, La Plata, Maryland. Went to Westlake High School, which would be in the Southern Maryland Athletic Conference. A graduate of Chopticon High School, I am. So we played La Plata in conference play. So the Paladins retain possession. Now they're back.
And it's been another struggled, failed clear for Hampton. That has been a recurring issue throughout the game.
This is a tough position for the Pirates to be in, namely because you now have 12, almost 13 minutes of game clock, and you haven't been able to produce since very early on in the first quarter. And frustration sets in, and almost the desire to stop the bleeding.
Yeah, but one thing that Hampton has done consistently, both in last year's matchup and this one, is that they have not given up at all. They have definitely still been playing with as much energy, passion, and fight as they did at the very beginning of the game, even though things have definitely not gone the way they would have liked.
There's no shortage of competitive fire and spirit on the Pirate squad, and that's good to see.
But I mean, I think it's just been a case of there has been a clear skill differential in the Paladins' favor.
Yeah, and again, I mean, you have the starters from the Pirates basically still on the field, but they're competing against fresh legs from the Paladins bench, and just that endurance.
And Furman essentially kind of punted on that possession. They just took up the full 80 and then of the shot clock and tossed it out of bounds. Back to Hampton, really not showing any urgency in an attempt to score. I mean, not that you need to up this much, but at this point, the clock definitely on the side of Furman.
Yeah, and I presume that we're going to see multiple possessions like that where Furman is just controlling the ball. They don't need to widen the margin anymore, and to eat up that full 80-second shot clock then.
That's a shot relatively early this time, though, for Magelson.
Paladins retain possession. John Holcomb will be bringing it into play for the Paladins. Cole O'Neill with the ball now, dodging, trying to get in position for another shot, goes wide.
So Furman continues to maintain possession. This one does not reset the shot clock, as it did not catch any part of the frame or of the keeper.
Holcomb in position again to retain that possession. He's going to bring it into play for the Paladins again.
By the way, I apologize for not noticing this earlier, but Paxton Powell, a junior from Florida, is now between the pipes for the Pirates, as it was Mondi for the first portion of the game.
And somehow McCain Winnick able to come down with that pass.
Not sure how, but that was a fantastic play. It will end up going back to the Pirates, however. But definitely taking nothing away from that catch. That was impressive. Well, this has been a game where all four quarters have really looked very different from each other.
Certainly has, and like I said, this fourth quarter you're going to see very few goals from the Paladins. I would presume it's going to be clock control and just getting out of this game. And a bad pass by the Pirates leads to another Paladin possession.
And again, all kinds of space there. It should have been just an easy pass to Benson, but well over his head. Very difficult play, and Furman can take it right back over. And I'm pretty sure the temperature is actively dropping, because we are at the we can see our breath in front of us phase now.
Yeah, and I will say that I've been fairly impressed with the surface here at Paladin Stadium. We haven't seen too many missteps or slips. Everybody's been able to maintain pretty good traction. So kudos to those that chose the surface type.
Yeah. Yeah, and even when we had all that rain, really couldn't tell from the field the next day. It was not one of the ones that was subjected to a lot of flooding.
We should also highlight that there has been a change in the Paladin keeper. Number 3, Andrew Jeanette, freshman out of Malvern, New York. Chaminade High School takes the net for the Paladins.
Really, Van de Bovenkamp, another solid showing. Didn't have a lot asked of him, but did come up with several saves.
Pitched a one-hitter, did he?
So close to a clean sheet, but not quite. But there's a good look at Jeanette, freshman. And again, when you think about the fact that Van de Bovenkamp is a senior and Furman will be losing him at the end of the year, that's going to be a big blow. And so whenever you can give some quality playing time to the freshman, get him ready for that transition to, presumably being the guy next year and having some huge shoes to fill, good to get some quality minutes.
Yeah, the Paladins have one other keeper on their roster, another freshman out of Annapolis, Maryland, went to Gonzaga College High School up there.
And it's going to get past Jeanette as Hampton gets their second goal of the contest.
Matt Back is that goalkeeper I was mentioning that is also on the Paladins roster. So great job by Michael Lawrence evading the defense and able to get it past Jeanette. Past his stick side in the upper right corner of the goal.
And it's going to be another different Paladin. So now it's Jack Kerr. So 36, 37, and 38 have all seen time at the X. And Jack Kerr will take a gambit at it, freshman out of Maryland. And a lot of freshmen seeing the field here for Furman. And it will be Hampton possession.
Yeah, good for them to get playing time. Like you said, not only the keeper, but those freshman position players able to get out on the field and get some of their first playing time at the Division I level.
Mad scramble for the ball. Still about 6 or 7 different players going for it. Furman comes away with it. Tried to pass it forward, had the pass deflected, then a good stick check is going to lead the ball going out of bounds, and it will remain Paladin possession. But again, seeing that good effort, no surrender or give up here from these Pirates, despite the big differential in the fourth.
Yeah, really fighting for that ground ball over there. 4 Pirates in position, only 3 the Paladins. Paladins able to come up with the ball. And an errant pass by the Paladins will lead to a turnover, so the Pirates have an opportunity to clear it and get it down for another scoring opportunity.
And a lot of this is probably, the higher number of turnovers here in the fourth. A lot of that you can attribute just to, more of the less experienced players seeing some significant playing time. They're going to make some of those mistakes, and even the starters, you saw that very early on as they were adapting to the conditions, a number of errant passes here and there.
Yeah, I'd presume a hold on the Paladins. Yeah, number 52, Zach Siegel, holding, so he'll find some time in the box, giving the Pirates a man-up opportunity. Their second of the game, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, they were not able to cash in on the first one. We'll see if they can be a little more successful here this time around. Almost a whole different team they're playing at this point from back when that first opportunity occurred. Doing a good job working the ball around, and Lonnie Jones has not been able to have the impact he would have liked to have here on this game, but he has been involved in the offense a lot, and he's got it here.
Certainly a leader, and you saw him in the second quarter, the third quarter, really commanding the setup of the offensive opportunities that they did have.
The ball coming out near midfield is going to be scooped up by Furman. They have numbers racing down the field, pass back, chance for a shot, and rebound out near the net. Going to be picked up by the Pirates. Now they're on the run the other way. Now they have numbers. Chance for a shot here inside. Open look.
And they get Pierce Johnson, number 5, was able to find the back of the net past Jeanette. after a fast break and a lot of shifty passes that got the defense or the few defensive players that were in position.
A little give and go action, and then able to net the goal in up top. So here in the quarter, Hampton with a couple goals and this is trying to end on a strong note.
Yeah, this is good to see from them. They still have fire and drive and that competitive spirit to get some goals in the net to decrease this margin that they are currently trailing by.
And the brave fans who have stayed are going to witness a first victory for the Paladins here. When everything is all said and done, they'll move to 1-1 on the year. Hampton will drop to 0-2, but this has been really a solid showing, particularly in that third quarter for the Paladins, and a lot of positive things after a disappointing season opener. It's been a very different script here in the home opener.
Darren Almadillo came away from that faceoff with the ball. Number 37, Jack Schleicher.
Also, how about that pass from back behind the goal, almost all the way to midfield, and one arc that was completed successfully. That's
easy clear for the Paladins. Jack Schleicher came in on that last play. It was about to lay Almadillo out, but held up at the last minute. Good sportsmanship there, because it could have been a pretty blind shot that caused an injury.
And I mean, while you never want to see an injury, you especially don't want to see one in a game that's essentially been decided already.
Correct. And the Paladins just added to their lead.
Got one of those 2 goals they've allowed back here in the fourth.
Number 11, Jack Rooney, another freshman. First time we're calling his number today for a goal. I would presume that we have double-digit players on the Paladin squads, double-digit different players. More than 10 different players, I think, have scored today for the Paladins.
And a lot of the ones who have scored also have assists. The passing has been very good. It's been very little individual effort. For the most part, it has been a lot of running the set offense effectively, players opening up opportunities for others, good passes leading to high percentage shots. 12th different player to score for Furman, so you called it.
Even a blind squirrel finds a nut every once in a while. So 61 shots for Furman compared to Hampton's 17 shots. I mean, that shots on goal, 28 for Furman and 11 for Hampton, and it has certainly gone the Paladins' offense's way today as they've been dominating in their side of the field. It's been a tough matchup for the Pirates' defense and goalkeeper today. Quite a few bruises and wounds that they'll be looking as they head back up to the Virginia Beach area. And a young squad, I know it's not how they wanted to end up this day, but certainly very positive to see energy and emotion still being displayed by the Pirates as they're trying to put some more points on the board.
Yeah, and you really can't fault Furman for still running their offense and playing. There's the flag on the field, but you know, a lot of these players don't get a lot of playing time, and they're not going to, you know, stop trying just because the score is the way it is. It's going to go back near midfield.
When you get field time, you got to capitalize off of it. And some errant passes there going to lead to an out of bounds, and now we have that penalty is going to be assessed.
Ooh, referee almost got taken out by the ball by accident.
And I believe we have a hold on the Pirates.
Too many men on the field. So you'll have to have one too few players on the field, balance it out. So it'll be another opportunity here for Furman. Up 19-3 here as we're down inside 5 minutes to go. And so So, Brian, if you're coaching up the Pirates and you're looking at this game, what are some positives you can take away from it besides as they've now scored 3 goals in the fourth quarter?
Yeah. Well, they're still alive in the fourth quarter. They're showing energy. They just scored their 4th goal of the game. They've controlled the face-off location, so that the face-off location is the starting point for your offense. Is if they can maintain that momentum going into their the 4-game road trip that we saw that they have coming up, as well as the rest of their season, then that's going to allow them to at least be able to try to get more offensive opportunities than they've given themselves today. They've maintained and they've won those face-offs, but unfortunately they've then had a lot of turnovers, and Furman's been doing a very good job of forcing those turnovers. I will say that what I have seen the Pirates do is not have some field awareness when they have possession. There's been a lot of behind checks where the Paladins have been able to easily catch up to them and check the ball out of their stick because the Pirate player is simply not paying attention to who's around them or their fellow players communicating with them to let them know that they have a defender coming up that is possibly going to make a stick check on them. So, we had talked to the Pirates coach before, and he talked specifically about making communication key for them to learn and work on. And they've fallen short on that today, but something that certainly in the film room they can discuss.
They have had a better showing here in the fourth, even though Furman has taken the foot off the gas a little bit. Still, Hampton scoring 3 of their 4 goals here in the final frame. Still a few minutes left and have possession.
A little pick and roll there. Freed up Pierce Johnson for a tough shot from the top of the box. Went high, but we saw Elliott Johnson, the third, was in position to maintain possession for the Pirates. And you got to believe some fatigue for those starting Pirates is beginning to set in. A long game.
In very suboptimal conditions as far as a lacrosse perspective goes. That was a coast-to-coast attempt there. Let's bring it all the way down the field was White. But we've seen a whole lot of White on the field, but not a lot of Brody White on the field.
Yeah. Cole O'Neill brought it in for the Paladins. They shifted around. Jacob Nagelson was able to get a shot off, but high of the goal.
Furman now with an opportunity trying to work it from behind to the front. And we've seen really a lot of good opportunities. That's an open look that ends up going wide. Furman has been very effective coming from behind the goal today.
Yeah, they have. They've been playing a 2-3-2 set and allowing those two guys to rotate, pass the ball back and forth. Those cutters early in the game, they were running a lot more of cutters through the center of the crease to score those early goals. Now they've been working to the outside and allowing some dodging to try to drive towards the goal to score those in the later half of this game.
A couple turnovers in quick succession will essentially just reset Furman's offense. 90 seconds to go here, Brian. Any closing thoughts?
Well, I think the Paladins have set a good mark for themselves here, being able to capitalize off of some weaknesses that were clearly on display from the Pirates. From the Pirates side, keep that momentum and that hunger that they had and they're showing now. They're still playing with a lot of quickness and desire and competitive spirit right now. I know perhaps it doesn't appear that way on television, but keep in mind there's a lot of fatigue going on. The conditions are, like you said, suboptimal, tough to run around in a lot of the snow that they have down there on the field. So the Pirates have, the face-off position, and they just got to work on the communication, some of that passing, and definitely their clears, which they've done a better job in the second half. Paladins have a long 3-game road streak that they have to go on, and some top-notch Tier 1 teams coming in here to Greenville with UNC and Penn State. So they certainly have their their work cut out for them, but this is a good win for them and gives them at least some film for them to critique themselves, to set themselves up for favorable outcomes to that road trip and those two top-tier teams coming in.
Furman will look to probably drain these last 40 seconds.
No shot clock on.
But really a complete victory here for Furman. Gave up those few goals late with a lot of their reserves on the field, but especially in that third quarter where they outscored Hampton 9-0, really showcased some of what they're really capable of offensively. Van den Bovenkamp, another solid start between the pipes. He yielded later, and it did not allow any of those goals in the fourth. But Furman will go ahead and just hold this one out. So your final score will be the Furman Paladins 19, Hampton Pirates 4. So Furman will take their home opener, move to 1-1 on the year. Hampton will drop to 0-2. That will do it for us here from Greenville, South Carolina. Hope you enjoy the broadcast and can hopefully enjoy some of the snow. Once again, your final score, Furman 19, Hampton 4. Thank you so much for joining us here on this Saturday afternoon. For Brian, I'm Nate, saying hope you have a great rest of your weekend.
Program and purchase tickets. Visit